The compartment smells of oil and sweat and something electrical that has been running too long. The light is low. It has always been low in here, but now it feels lower. A man sits at the radio station, headphones on, hands resting on the edge of the desk. The ship is moving beneath him. It has always moved beneath him, but not like this. He adjusts one of the dials. A small adjustment. He has made it 100 times. His hands know where to go without being told. Outside the sea, inside the hum, he waits. The rhythm of the past few days has been long stretches of nothing, interrupted by bursts of signal, instruction, confirmation. Tap, listen, receive, send. The repetition has a kind of weight to it after long enough. Not unpleasant, familiar. The kind of work that fills the body and quiets the mind. But something this morning is not the same. It isn't a sound exactly. It isn't anything he can point to. It's the way the ship is sitting in the water. The way she responds, or doesn't, when the sea pushes against her. He has been aboard long enough to know the difference between normal resistance and this. This is something slower, something reluctant, like a body that has decided, at some level below decision, to stop. He has heard talk in the passageways, fragments, the kind of conversation that stops when someone new enters the room. He has heard enough. He keeps his headphones on. He stays at the station. The Bismarck, the most powerful warship in the German fleet, at least on paper. He has been part of her crew since before the operation began, since before they passed through the Denmark Strait and into the North Atlantic. He has transmitted from this room in calm weather and in seas that move the whole world sideways. He has sent messages that mattered, and messages that were routine, and messages somewhere between the two. What he knows now: 2 nights ago, a British torpedo found the stern. What it did exactly, the precise mechanical consequence, is something discussed in engineering spaces and command levels well above his station. What is understood everywhere aboard, without explanation, is the result. The ship cannot steer properly. She has been moving in a wide, slow arc ever since, turning back northeast, back toward England, back toward the enemy that has been hunting her. The ocean in every direction, no port within reach. The math of it is not complicated. He doesn't need to be an officer to understand the arithmetic of a ship that cannot run and cannot hide on an open sea. He stays at the station. The shells began before full daylight. He felt the first ones before he processed what they were. Concussions that moved through the hull and up through the chair and into him directly, below thought. His hands stilled on the desk. Then he reached for the dial again. Adjusted. Sent. The return fire from the ship was loud in a different way. You could feel the departure of the shells, an outward pressure, a release. You could feel the incoming as something else, something received. He has been transmitting since the engagement began. Short sequences, position, condition, situation. Naval language is compressed by design. You can say a great deal in very few words if both parties know the code. He knows the code. He has been sending it into the morning air above the North Atlantic, and someone, far away, has been receiving it, logging it, reading the situation through it, understanding, with each signal, a little more precisely what is happening out here. The angle of the floor has changed slightly. He noticed it maybe an hour into the engagement, a few degrees, enough that the items on the desk have a new tendency, a lean they didn't have before. He has moved 1 or 2 of them back without thinking about it. His body has adapted. His hands keep working. The sound of the guns, both outgoing and incoming, has changed over the past hour. The Bismarck's fire has grown less frequent. He knows what that means. He doesn't articulate it. He notes it the way you note a change in weather, a drop in temperature, a shift in the light. You register it, you keep going. The air in the compartment is different now too, warmer. There is smoke somewhere in the system, filtering through, faint but present. He breathes through it. There is nothing else to do. The ventilation is doing what it can. He transmits again. Time moves strangely in sustained engagement. The first minutes are sharp and fast, overloaded with sensation. Then something shifts. The mind finds a floor and stands on it. The body settles into what is happening around it and stops cataloging every impact and sound. What remains is a kind of narrowed attention. Just the desk, just the dials, just the sequence of tasks that still make sense when almost nothing else does. He thinks, if thinking is a word, about the mechanics of the transmission. Whether the signal is going through cleanly, whether there is interference. These are the questions of his profession, and they give the mind somewhere to go. There is something almost meditative about doing work you know how to do while the world changes around you. It is not peace. It is not acceptance. It is closer to a suspended state, a held breath, the moment between understanding something and feeling the full weight of it. He holds that state as long as he can. The tilt of the floor increases, fractionally, again. He moves his foot to compensate. He reaches for the desk edge and releases it. He adjusts the headphones, which have shifted slightly with one of the louder impacts. His hands keep moving. The signal keeps going out. At some point, an order passes through the ship. He receives it the way all orders reach lower decks, through the chain, through the tone of voices in the passageway, through the behavior of the men around him. The scuttling order, the sea cocks to be opened, the ship to be brought down deliberately, on their terms, before the British can take her as a prize. The decision has been made. It is now a matter of time. He continues transmitting. This is the part that is difficult to explain to someone who has not experienced it. The order to abandon a ship does not instantly resolve everything. There are still tasks. There are still men at their stations. The machinery of the vessel does not stop all at once. Someone has to be last. Someone always has to be last, in every compartment, at every station, doing whatever still needs to be done while the ship is still capable of doing it. He keeps the line open. He sends what there is to send. The sounds outside the hull have become continuous, overlapping, without clear separation between one impact and the next. The ship's own fire is much reduced now. Whether there is anything left to fire, whether there are men left at the positions to fire it, he cannot see from here. He knows only what comes through the desk, through the chair, through the air. He notes the temperature again. It has risen in the compartment. The smoke is more present than it was. He breathes through it steadily. The signal goes out. Somewhere across the water, in a room in Germany, it arrives. Outside, the North Atlantic. Cold in a way that is not metaphorical. Around 6 degrees Celsius. The kind of cold that does not negotiate. A man in that water without equipment loses useful function quickly. The crew has been briefed on this. They know the numbers. Knowing and experiencing are different things, and most of them are about to learn the difference. There are approximately 2,200 men aboard. The British ships are still firing. The Bismarck will go down at approximately 9 in the morning. When she does, British ships will move in toward the survivors in the water. Ropes will be thrown. Men will be pulled up, exhausted, cold beyond the usual meaning of cold. And then a submarine contact will be reported somewhere nearby, and the rescue will stop. The ships will move away. The men still in the water will remain there. 115 men will survive. The rest will not come out of the water. The radio room, at some point in those final minutes, goes dark. We do not know the exact moment. We do not know what the last transmission was. We know that the signals stopped because the logs show where they stop. We know that someone was at the station until close to the end because the transmissions continued close to the end. The gap between those two facts is not empty. It is full of something. We simply cannot see it. The Bismarck was found in 1989, nearly 5 miles down, the hull largely intact. The ship that was described, by those who built her, as formidably protected, lying in permanent darkness on the floor of the North Atlantic. Scattered around her on the seabed are the objects of ordinary life. Boots, personal items, small physical evidence that this was not an abstraction. It was a place where people lived and worked and in the end died. The radio operator, whoever he was specifically, is one of the unnamed. The crew records that survived the war do not attach a specific face to a specific station on that specific morning. His name may exist somewhere in an archive. It may not. What is certain is that he was there. He was doing his job. And then, at some point, he was not. He was not a symbol. He was a person. He had a hometown. He had come aboard this ship as part of his service and had crossed the North Atlantic and had sat at a radio station for days and had kept transmitting when there was very little left to transmit for. That's what we have. The ocean keeps its own records. If this kind of history stays with you, not the strategy, not the numbers, but the people who were inside it, consider subscribing. There are more stories like this one. Each of them belongs to someone. Each of them deserves to be told carefully.